volume of cylinders and spheres. This is lesson 10. This is the last lesson in chapter 9, and it's probably going to be the toughest one. So we're still looking at volume, which is how much of something is in a certain space or in a 3D object. So the two you're doing today is a cylinder, and when I say cylinder, I want you to think of like a can of vegetables or something in a can. And then a sphere. A sphere would be like a basketball. So kind of use those two images in your head when you're working on these. The cylinder is probably, as far as what information you have to put in, is simpler than the sphere. When we see the sphere and we see it's a round object, we think, oh, that's easy, but it actually has more work to it. The formula for volume for the cylinder is pi times radius squared times height. Okay, so it's all multiplying for the cylinder, but you need to be sure to square your radius. All right, so you can multiply in any order. You don't have to put in pi, then radius, and then height, because it's multiplying in order doesn't matter. But if you do not square the radius, then your answer is going to be wrong. So remember, squaring means to multiply it by itself twice. So for both of these, the rule that I have written here, diameter divide by 2 first, that rule will apply to both the cylinder and the sphere, because if you look at the formulas, they are based on radius, okay, and radius is half of the diameter. So be sure, if you have a problem that has diameter, to divide it by 2 first. So you'll see here we have diameter, radius, same here. So if it has D, diameter, divide that number by 2 so that you will have the radius. All right, so you for sure are going to have your calculator for these. Some of these have some really large numbers in them, and to work it out on paper would take a long time. So for number 1, we have a diameter of 4 inches, a height of 10 inches, and pi I put 3.14. I really don't need to put that. You should know that by now. 3.14 is pi. It's actually a longer number, but for basic middle school math, then 3.14 is all that you're going to need. All right, so you'll see that I plug the information in. All right, so pi times radius squared times height. So here's pi, here's my radius squared, and there's my height. So if you'll notice, for radius squared, I have 2 squared. All right, so the first thing I had to do was take 4 and divide it by 2, and that gave me 2 squared. So if you have diameter, please divide your diameter by 2 first. All right, so 3.14 times 2 squared times 10. You probably will need to do the squaring first before you multiply. So 2 squared is 4, 3.14 times 4 times 10 is going to be 125.6 inches squared. Okay? Number two, they give us the radius. Do not divide by 2. Okay? It's the radius. That's the number that you need. Radius is 20 centimeters, height is 50, pi 3.14. Okay, so you'll see here where it says radius, I have 20 squared. All right, so do that first. 20 squared is 400, and then you can do 3.14 times 400 times 50, and that will give you 62,800. Okay, so there you'll see a lot of these numbers that you're going to get are really large. All right, number 3, diameter. Okay, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So there's my radius squared, 8 squared. All right, 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 3.14 times 10 is 2009.6. 4, they give us radius, so we don't have to divide by 2. Alright, but we are going to square it first. So 9 squared is 81. 81 times 3.14 times 9 is 2289.06. Squeeze that in there, okay? So be sure to square the radius first, get that answer, then multiply by pi, and then whatever the height is, all right? And your calculator, depending on what you're using, should calculate it as you put the numbers in. You don't have to clear it out and multiply each number separately, all right? Next is the sphere. The sphere, like I said, just think of a basketball. With this one, you have a lot of multiplying, and then you have to divide. So we're going to do all the multiplying first, and then dividing. So it's going to be 3 steps, because you're going to want to cube the radius, multiply all these, and then divide by 3. Okay, so they give us radius here, so we do not have to divide by 2. We only do that with diameter. So 5 cubed first is going to be 125. You're going to do 125 times 3.14 times 4. Okay, you'll get 1,570. Get that up there. And then divide by 3. So you get 523.3. Alright. And if you'll notice, if you did that one in your calculator, you'll see that there's a bunch of 3's on the end there. But I rounded off. So I do not expect you to write all that out. If it's repeating, use your little repetend. Alright. Number 6, they give us diameter, 24 inches. So where I have the radius, you'll see there's 12. That's because I divided by 2 first. Alright. So 12 to the 3rd power is 1,728 times 3.14 times 4 is 21,703.68 divided by 3. So dividing by 3 is going to be the last step each time. So 7, 2, 3, 4.56 inches squared. Alright, number 7, they give us the radius, so you don't have to divide by 2. So 1 cubed is 1 times 3.14 times 4 is 12.56. 12.56 divided by 3 is 4.18. Okay, I rounded off all those places behind that decimal. Alright, for the last one, they gave us diameter, so I took it and divided it by 2 and got 21. 21 cubed is 9,261 times 3.14 times 4 is 116,318.16 divided by 3 is 38,772. Okay. Millimeters cubed. Alright, so fortunately you're using the calculator, but it's still going to be a lot of steps that you have to follow. Keep watching the video if you need to, and then you can also use chat through the Zoom. We can do a face-to-face meeting, and I can use the whiteboard if you need it. Okay.